Mike Hamilton here. So, kind of just following up a little bit about the Tundra wastegate issue. I did my third video, but I am now keep on getting more people, up to 3 more now that have gotten the wastegate issue. Couple just in the last week that had the bought 1794s. It seems like predominantly. As a matter of fact, I have only seen 1794s and limited. So the way I believe a production run happens, because I was at a battery plant years ago. I used to sell car batteries, and so I was at an Exide battery plant years ago. So when you're doing these vehicles are going down a production line, right? There's a contraption that's pulling it along, and there are people and machines and robots adding pieces to the vehicle. So what I would believe is, like, when they were building batteries, they would build one size battery, and then they have to switch to build a different size of battery. If they were going to build trucks, they're going to build a day of trucks, or maybe multiple days of trucks. They're going to build limiteds. They're going to build 1794s. Another day maybe SR5s. But they're going to have the equipment and the things that are going to be going into those particular units. So I believe from everything I'm seeing now, if it's either 21 or 22 cases that I know of personally, probably the person other than somebody that's in the Toyota world, that's inside the corporate offices, I'm probably the one that knows more cases personally than anyone else in this. And all I keep on seeing 1794s and limiteds. Even had a call from a customer in New Jersey, not my customer, but a guy bought one in New Jersey, and I said, I've not seen a platinum, but it seems like some of these have gone to Canada. It seems like someone come to the East Coast, and then they seem to have this like production time, at least where the engines were built. That could have got this bad actuator, and this thing was back in sometime in the December, November time, and the vehicles were assembled in December, or even in January. And again, I would believe, knowing what I know from a run of batteries, that when you're going to build Group 24, they're going down the line, they're assembling those batteries, and then another day, Group 34, or even the different hours they would do something like that. But I imagine it's a little more complicated with a vehicle, with all the parts and stuff that's going into that. So you're going to be lining up like multiple of the same type of vehicles because of the equipment, the seats, the dashboards, the things that would go to that vehicle. Would mean they're not building an SR5, and then right behind it's a Platinum, and then right behind it's a 1794, and then right behind it's an SR. They're all going to be like the same type of truck at the same time, and that would mean that it would affect it like a specific model. And it's what I've heard from a handful of people now that I can't verify, but that there was a bunch of actuators that got delivered to Toyota bad. Looking at this, I do know that Toyota has the plant that built these engines. It's in Alabama. They invested like $222 million into it in 2021. That their sub vendors are bringing in the parts there. They got a bad batch of these actuators and one of these engines. Those engines got built, and they got sent to San Antonio, where they do the final assembly of the Tundra, and then future to be the Sequoias. And that's what I believe that's happened, and I believe that's why I've only seen these 1794s and limiteds. And I may be wrong. I will update this as I go along, as more people come to me with their problems. But I want to turn around is this camera here, because a lot of people have come to me and said, Toyota sweeping this under the rug. They're not. They're trying to hide this. That's not something Toyota does. They're really proactive in their core beliefs is Kaizen, which means continuous improvement. They want to be better than they were yesterday, and that's just their mentality, is to do the best they possibly can. And I don't understand exactly how this all works out and stuff, and why they're doing one turbo and not the other than maybe parts availability, or maybe it opens up differently on one side or the other, and maybe an actuator is not bad on the driver's side but would be on passenger side. My belief is probably there's not a bunch of turbos laying around. There's not a bunch of anything laying around. I can't get a Corolla in stock. So I believe that they're going to fix what they can for now, and down the road, if it gets bigger, they may do a recall. But it sounds like they've isolated the issue to probably a very small production run of specific units, and they're just going to address those vehicles, and they've curtailed that, and it's not a massive issue. But I want to show you all the recall campaigns that are going on between Toyota and Lexus right now. I'll be right back. So just easily Googling this is not hidden. This is something very simple to go to. This is all the recall campaigns that are currently going on with all different Toyotas. Matter of fact, we have two current recalls on Tundras, not this generation of Tundra, but the last generation, and I'll go over that. So let me show you how many different recall campaigns are in existence right now. Which is quite a few. So, and some of these go back on vehicles for quite a long time. So back to the 2000s on vehicles that I've only been selling Toyota since 2014. And some of these vehicles didn't even exist back in the weren't around. They were already like a done deal by the time I came along. But we have a 21 CHR. It's a safety recall, and then you have a 21 Venza. This one's non-compliant, so it's like that's not a safety issue. And then this one, I know what this is. 16 Tundra and Sequoia may affect other years, but I know 16 is one of the years. So this is something with the rack and pinion. It actually goes back quite a few years, but I guess now the remedy's out to fix it. So that's a recall. It's a current campaign. I've actually picked up the main line and talked to a couple customers just yesterday about that. So these are recalls that you're seeing like currently going on. And these are unspecified recalls. You'd have to put the VIN numbers in here. And then we got another safety recall campaign here. 2009 to 15 Venzas. So some of this goes way back. So like the Venza today is not like the Venza that was from 2009 to 15. That's an entirely different car. That was some funky, weird wagon looking thing. The Venza today it comes from a European and Asian vehicle that was already out 5 years before it came to our market, which was called the Harrier, which it still is called the Harrier over in Asian and European markets. And so that has some sort of a safety recall that if you have one of those vehicles, depending on your VIN number. A Lexus recall here, some kind of Highlander recall for 2020 Highlander. And what else? Prius and Prius Vs. There hasn't been a V built in about 4 years, so that's quite a while ago. RAV4 recall, another recall here unspecified unless you get into the information on it. Another unspecified, a Lexus recall here, another Lexus recall here, another unspecified one, Corolla Matrix. Matrix hasn't been around since the 2000s. That goes way back. Another Lexus CHR, that's kind of a newer flavor for Toyota. That's only been out since 2018. Not sure what Toyota's going to do with that. We're going to keep that along when they came out with a new Corolla Cross, but we still have them. But some sort of a recall going on that. Two separate safety recalls going to these vehicles. CHR, Prius, Corolla Hybrid. Hybrid's a fairly new one too. It's only been around since 19 or 20. Takata airbags, that's been around forever and a day. Corolla Matrix, RAV4 Hybrid, 19. Lexus Prius C recall. They haven't made Prius C in 4 or 5 years. Toyota Sienna, the old body, not the new body. Lexus ES, Lexus LS models, more Lexus. Takata airbag again. Corolla hatch, that's going back because it's 18, so that would have been the Corolla IMs after the Scions. So that's before the remake of the Corollas. Lexus LX 570. We got another Lexus here, Scion. CHR again coming up, Tundra, Sequoia again, 2018. So these are all these recall campaigns, and these are just the last 4 years. There's a lot of campaigns going on. We got Avalon in here. What else? This says unspecified and unspecified there. So as you can see there, that's a lot of recalls that are going on that are campaigns that are currently going and affecting quite a few vehicles, and that's just a normal thing with all manufacturers is recalls. And if any manufacturer is proactive on taking care of their problems, it's Toyota. Every brand has vehicles that break. Every brand has vehicles that get recalled, and Toyota's been the most proactive that I know of when it comes to fixing something that's wrong. Because just ask me about the Subarus with their boxer engines and their opposing cylinders and gravity working against them and their head gasket issues. That's gone on for more than 2 decades, and the fix is just better gaskets. Why hasn't Subaru just fix those engines and put a better quality gasket in the beginning? And like, but customers have to get a head gasket job done somewhere around 100,000 miles, and that's been going on since the 90s. So that's something that I look at that Toyota would rectify and address those things and fix those things as soon as possible. But I don't know how the analytics work. I'm not in that type of realm. But you know, there's a percentage of so many failures, and then there's the recalls start to happen. And again, thank you for watching this video. We'll see you next time.